Good morning. My name is Will Wright. It's a delight to have Stephen Burns, FAIA from BQE Software with us. I hope everyone is staying healthy and safe, and thank you for supporting and joining the American Institute of Architects today. We want to be a constant resource to you and to bring you high quality programming such as this. Stephen Burns is the Chief Creative Officer of BQE Software. He's a licensed architect and a member of the College of Fellows. He sold his architectural firm in 2007 to work full-time on a startup he launched to create Archie Office and Engineer Office, and then brought his expertise to BQE Software in 2009. He earned his Master's of Architecture from Harvard University Graduate School of Design and his Bachelor of Fine Arts from Syracuse University. His passions include ultra endurance cycling, and this is a great fact. He's ridden as far as 522 miles without stopping. I hope that was downhill the whole way.
I wish.
And working with the Los Angeles Social Venture Partners to help innovative nonprofits change the landscape for social justice. It is a pleasure to introduce Stephen Burns, FAIA. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Will. Good morning, everybody. Got half of you guys have video cameras, so it would be nice to see all of you. I'm going to share my screen here, so give me a second. I think, no, I want to do a desktop too. I guess that's it. Let's see. And hey, Will or Karine, can you just confirm you are able to see the slides? Everything looks great. So again, excuse me. Thank you, Will, for the introduction. It can't go without mentioning really at the top of the webinar that most likely everybody here attending is doing so from home, as was mentioned, courtesy of the coronavirus. But what's really amazing about the cloud is it was built for a distributed workforce. There is a difference between a remote and a distributed workforce. We might get into that a little bit later. So there's really actually no better time right now than the present to talk about moving your company 100% into the cloud. Now, having said that, this webinar was actually prepared before the recent coronavirus pandemic and social distancing or quarantining that's really impacting not just us here in LA, but the whole world. And since the topic of cloud computing is particularly significant today in this brave new world, I'd like to invite you to watch a recording of another webinar I did just a couple of weeks ago. It's entitled Best Practices from the Front Lines of Working with a Remote Team. And that's available for free. Just watch that. Go to bqe.com to the company events page, and you can catch it there. It's really a deep dive into the details of really what it's like to work on a day-to-day basis where your staff is all in a distributed mode. So hopefully you can get that. But in the next 40 minutes, I'm going to explain why cloud computing is really no longer the future. It is now more than ever. It's really prime time. For the past 5 years, I have been making the argument to move your firms into the cloud. And it was a really big lift for me to explain to firm owners why they should drop their on-premise servers, their IT departments, and put their business in the cloud. And today, really, it is no longer even a debate. So as I go through the presentation, I'm going to ask you 4 poll questions. Corrine, the first one's coming up in just a second here. I'd appreciate it if you could just quickly give us an answer to your poll. It'll kind of help me a little bit as I move forward through some of these slides. Before we get to that first poll, I should mention that even though I'm a licensed architect, I've really spent the past 16 years working in software. And I have been fortunate enough to be having physically visited more than 200 firms where I'd spent a full day at least inside of their office, observing their office systems and their culture. And in addition, I have talked at length with over 1,000 different firms. And there's one thing I know about architects, and I know I'm not going to win any friends here when I say this, but architects really struggle with change, except when it comes to their projects. And what I mean is we're generally pretty good at looking at the latest advances in construction techniques and materials and green technologies, and we work to apply these to our projects. But when it comes to looking at advances which could be applied to our own business and make us work more efficiently, make our projects and our firms more profitable, help us serve our clients better, we're often pretty complacent about it. It's as if someone's not actually paying us for change. We're less inclined to do that. My personal belief is each of us deserves a business that has systems and processes in place which are as elegant as the architecture that we provide our clients. And in order for that to happen, you need to apply the same time and care into managing your firm as we do our projects. And clearly we're a small business enterprise for most firms. And often there isn't a lot of time spent on managing your own office. You're usually just chasing after your projects, but I appreciate that problem because I was there as well. I also used to plead with firm owners, why wait for some traumatic event to happen to your firm, like being paralyzed by malware or ransomware or a computer virus before you look into the mirror or make a change. But today, a virus of a very different sort is finally making it abundantly clear that the cost of those old technologies, those old on-premise servers, which are expensive to manage and nearly impossible to use when your team is distributed, as we all are today, these firms are really struggling. And I know that there's going to have a serious cash flow problem as a follow-on effect of this system disruption. So the agenda is, first, I'm going to explain to you why you should even care about the cloud and why it's essential for your firm to thrive today. I'm going to go through 8 slides that are really a short list of a growing ecosystem of really brilliant cloud-based tools that are either built specifically for the architecture or the AE industry or highly beneficial. I'm going to talk about a concept that we discuss here a lot called chunkification. It's a terrible sounding word, but that is good for my thesis. I'm going to explain why the direction we've moved over the past decade is really as detrimental to our futures as if you were continuing to use a fax machine. I'm going to cover the importance of mobility in our business. It's an attribute that a lot of people dismissed just a few years ago. I had run a survey of over 4,000 of our customers and asked them about how important it was for mobile phones to be used in business. And it was, I think, like 11% of people thought it was. Today, it's 100%. So we'll talk about the importance of cloud and mobility. I'll talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. It's something we think about a lot here. We're keenly interested in that. And I want to make it clear that AI is neither something, to be feared nor a meaningless tech buzzword. It is really here today and it's all around us. I'm going to share a couple strategies I think that you should consider when migrating your firm into the cloud. And lastly, I'm going to give you a firsthand understanding of what that means when you put all of this stuff together. I'll give you a little quick tour of our core solution, but I will also share with you a conversation, a voice conversation using artificial intelligence with business software. So you could see the direction we're moving, which happens only when you're in the cloud. So Corrine, poll number 1 should be launched. I really want to ask you, and I'm probably going to get a very different result than I did about 2 months ago. Do you think running your business in the cloud is more or less risky for your business? So, Corrine, is that launched yet? Because I won't see it on my end here. Oh, there it goes. So, do you think the cloud puts your company at more or less risk? Cloud puts my company at greater risk. The cloud helps keep my company safer. And I guess, Corrine, you're just going to manage that and let us know when you share the results.
We are at almost 75% voted. I'd be amazed if we get to 100%.
We did during the test yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're at 82%. And we're stalling. Oh. Okay, I think we're at a good point to end the poll.
Okay, and you
sound
can
good? All right.
Yeah, please share.
Okay, I'm ending and sharing results.
Well, this is interesting. Okay, so this is great, actually. So 75% of you believe the cloud will keep your company safer. I got to tell you, this is completely flipped over where it was a year and a half ago. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to close that up. Okay. Now, okay. If you did, are we back? Can you see 12 reasons to be in the cloud? Is that there? Yeah. So if you did an internet search for why is cloud computing important for your business, you're going to have hundreds of articles listing the 5 different reasons to be in the cloud. However, when I think about the cloud, I've come up with 12 reasons your business shouldn't ignore it. And honestly, I put this list together, I said, months ago before the coronavirus, but I could save us all a lot of time and just give you one reason called COVID-19. Still, I think these are worth understanding. First up, there's nothing to install, nothing to maintain. So you imagine that. You can get rid of your servers that host applications or host your files, stop having time, set up for installing updates on your desktop software, making sure they're compatible with one another, forget about maintaining servers and dealing with failed hard drives or restoring from backups. You forget about all the IT consulting fees that you pay so people can manage these outdated systems for you. So software and operating system updates and upgrades are often overlooked by people. I've been to too many offices where they're running old versions because they're really afraid that if they run it, something's going to break. And this is actually an epidemic for firms that use these desktop applications, because a lot of the updates, especially for operating systems, are really there to plug the holes or security patches. So they close those threats that come at us every day, and too many firms are just running loose with that stuff open to them. The cloud is way more secure because cloud servers have security that you could never mimic within your firm. And I'm sure a lot of you have experienced a virus or malware. I was in a firm here in Culver City that actually was subject to ransomware the day I arrived to spend time with them, and they were down for a few days. So, but when you get software as a service hosted in the cloud, this is almost unheard of. Hosting facilities have 24/7 armed guards protecting the facilities. Your office has or used to have people coming in and out with devices that you have no control over. Server rooms are very often left unlocked, or worse yet, the server is just like a box that's sitting on a shelf in the lunchroom. And how about your employees who bring in their laptops or mobile devices and they connect it to your networks, right? And have you scanned everything on those devices to make sure that there's nothing nefarious on them? How about when a client comes to visit with you? Do you physically examine every flash drive that somebody might stick into a USB port on your computer? All of these things are easy methods for malware to be introduced into your network, into your firm, and create havoc. So the cloud is another reason to obviate that. This is counterintuitive, but firms think that desktop and server-based apps are faster than working with software in the cloud. But your computers have limited capacity. And when your software makes strenuous demands on the system, you're going to sit around waiting while some spinning ball or hourglass, is spinning. So, you take a coffee break or whatever. The cloud really obviates this. Since modern native cloud servers, they're elastic and they dynamically grow as demand increases. And they're also industrial grade servers, capable of performing a lot more than any desktop computer or general office server that most firms can afford. So keep that in mind. What happens when you do have a major catastrophe like a fire or an earthquake or theft, or again, ransomware? How long will it take your firm to get your systems up and running and keep the business moving? How many of you even practice a disaster recovery plan that you might have conceived of? And I'm going to guess it's probably zero. I've never met a firm that actually regularly practiced this. So when that inevitable thing happens, you're going to realize how difficult it is to pull off. But smart cloud hosting companies practice this regularly. Our team here at BQE Software practices disaster recovery every single day. And where it once took us hours to get systems back up, we can now do it in minutes. So most any firm will be down for days in a true catastrophe where they need to get new hardware, restore backups. And they often have to do this for each individual desktop. And I'm sure many of you went through this recently with the coronavirus, where you've been sending people home and having to get them to run. All of that never would have even been an issue if you were already fully 100% into the cloud. And all of that lost productivity, all the lost dollars that you spent with all that downtime. So number 4. Number 5, today our businesses are global. No longer are we restricted to hiring people in our backyard or working with local consultants only. We can find ourselves working with people halfway around the world, either because they're cost effective or they have an expertise that we require. So the cloud is really designed around the concept of location and language and operating systems and all that stuff. Those are all, it's agnostic to all of that. So you could be in Buenos Aires and Boston or Bangalore. And as far as clouds are concerned, you're all in the same room. And again, the cloud doesn't care if you're on a Windows computer, a Mac computer, an Android device, an iPhone, a tablet. It doesn't even care if you're on a computer at all. Perhaps you're simply interacting with your data via a smartwatch or a networked car or Google Assistant or Siri or Amazon Alexa. So the cloud really ignores everything. Number 7 for me personally is an interesting topic because I'm involved in the design side of our software. But native cloud solutions are almost always easier to use. Much of that's backward pressure that's put on developers because of the pervasiveness of the mobile apps. And today there are, well, last count I did about 6 months ago, there were 3.9 million apps available on the Android and the Apple app stores. Nearly every one of those apps is instantly understandable for the user. They don't require a manual. People have expectations that apps should be easy to use, and this has created a new breed of developers. So we have a team of UI, user interface and user experience, UI UX designers now, and this is their profession, is understanding the experience that people have with software. And that never would have happened had it not been because of the cloud and because of the growing app marketplace out there. So ease of use. The cloud is flexible. So if you need to hire 5 new employees, you don't have to buy lots of expensive software, install it on their computers, deal with licensing and versioning. Cloud services can expand or shrink, which may be a unnecessary evil in the near future here. And it can happen in minutes. 9, we demand to be connected to everything we care about. So in simpler times, like a month ago, I could be on an airplane at 35,000 feet and be working both literally and figuratively in the cloud and be as productive as if I were sitting here at my desk in my office. So well-designed businesses that are 100% cloud-based have no disruption, even though every one of their employees is working today from home. Number 10, this is kind of associated with number 1, but while you never need to worry about backing up your data and making sure it's stored off-site and it's safe, which too many firms also don't do, well-designed cloud services are actually being backed up in real time, and it's always safe. And number 11 is kind of similar to number 5 across from that. We are in a profession that thrives on collaboration. Very few of us do our work in a bubble without needing to interface with other members of the extended team. So just like having the ability to hire employees, from people around the world and get, and have them connected as if they were in your office, the cloud is engineered for collaboration. It's effortless. And if your firm is probably still working with a VPN and you've had to set that up from your homes the past few weeks, you probably have a fax machine. And finally, there's software as a service. It's called SaaS, software as a service, means you don't ever have to make large capital expenditures. The days of deciding if you can afford some $5,000, CAD software or spending thousands on fancy accounting software, these days are over. When you subscribe to software, you can pay as you go, and you don't have to go borrow money or wait to have the ability to write a big check to take advantage of software that's really in use by large firms with buckets of money. Okay, so this is a series of 8 slides I talked about. I'm not going to deep dive into these. I can also make this slide deck available to you, Corinne and Will, and you could share it with everybody if they want to get to look at these, so they don't have to take screen snapshots or whatever. but this is on cloud file. So this one's on cloud file storage. I'm not going to give you a recommendation on any particular product. I just want you to do your own due diligence. I actually personally use Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. I use all of those, as well as iCloud, you know, for document storage. Everything I have is stored in the cloud. If I lost my computer today, I just pick up a new one, and within a few minutes, everything will be restored. People used to complain, oh, I've got these large CAD files, and they take forever. This is kind of moot at this point, because most of these services do file synchronization behind the scenes, keeping all of your devices synced, so you don't have to wait for some, you know, 300 megabyte file to come down. Communication, I actually get into a few of these in a deep dive in that other webinar I was telling you about. I'm not a big fan of email. I live for the day when email goes the way of the fax machine, to be honest with you. There is still a little place for email, which I wrote about in a blog yesterday. But generally speaking, in team communications, you should be looking at tools which are more real time. So email is really asynchronous, right? I only open my email at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. every day, and I keep it shut off the rest of the day. Otherwise, I won't get anything done. But these are tools that you can basically be on these threads of conversations with your team, or video chatting like we are on Zoom right now. We here use BQE Software. We use Slack and Basecamp and Uber Conference and GoToMeeting. But a lot of folks who use like Microsoft 365 are using Microsoft Teams. Google's not as used as much. I did a survey last week. As much as I thought. And of course, everybody's, you know, getting all over Zoom these days. And I go into a deep dive on these. So team communication tools out there. Management comprises of various kinds of things. It could be firm management or project management or human resources management, whatever kind of management tools. I've taken this slide and I separated it into two quadrants, two halves, I should say. The white half would be products that are designed specifically around the pain points, the needs of the architectural industry. The ones in gray are things I've seen in use in firms that are kind of popular, and they're not built specifically for our pain points, but they are in use. I generally kind of, I'm not a big fan of these because they get into the chunkification thing that I talked about a little bit earlier here. I do want to mention something though, because when we talk about the cloud, not all clouds are created equal. So when I look at our core product, which is what we call a native cloud solution, meaning it's built on modern technologies using APIs, an application programming interface that allows the cloud, our cloud, to talk to anything else in the cloud, right? So it can communicate. You're familiar with this with your mobile phones, where, you know, your calendar's connected to your, you know, other applications and things happen. There's another thing called lift and shift, which is really what most everybody else still has today. So if you're going to look at moving your firm into the cloud through business management software, make sure what you're getting really will serve you into the future. So there are technologies out there that are getting close to 20 years now, 17 to 20 years, that are in our industry, but they're just what we call lift and shift. They took the box out of your office and they put it up in their cloud, and you pay them for that. But the underlying technology is the same old technology that's been around for 20 years. So do your research on, ask these providers, are you a native cloud solution? That's the phrasing you need to use. So I don't even need to talk about this slide at all, because you are all intimately familiar with various tools for helping you in the production, the design of your products. I know a lot of people out there in BIM 360. I'm a huge fan of Morpholio Trace at Vectorworks, but everybody's got their own tool, Bluebeam Review, markup tools. These are all collaboration tools, design tools, but you're probably mostly familiar with that. Web hosting. So not a hot topic any longer, but I'll tell you something. If your company doesn't have a website, you probably don't exist. And the problem with most architectural firms, because I visit a lot of your websites, is there's still a lot of old technology there. Whether it's Flash technology, which is insane, while you would still have that, or the fact that your sites are not responsive, you need to pay more attention to your website design. This is a branding issue for you. These are all cloud solutions out there for you. And I remember the first website we built for my company, and think we built it in 1995. I think we spent $70,000 to build a website. I can go to Squarespace right now and I can buy a theme, for $10 or WordPress, and have my site easily up there, and it's responsive. And that's important because a lot of you are using social media right now for marketing purposes, to share your projects, to go on, whether it's on Instagram or Pinterest or Houzz or wherever you might be. And people generally, if you look at the data, are on a mobile platform when they're on their Instagram. And then they're going to click you and they're going to go to your website, and you should see what your website looks like on a mobile phone. I will guarantee you will not be pleased with it for many of you out there. So please make sure at least every 2 years you do a careful review of your website. And these are insanely affordable things out there. Accounting, I got to be honest with you, this is not for the back room. Too many firms think that this is just accounting. Let's just get rid of it. But this is where data is. This is the holy grail information for most firms. What I would say to you is, everything in the white there again is around our business is about what we call project accounting. Okay, we run our businesses based on our projects, and all the products in the gray are standard accounting software platforms out there, but they don't understand project accounting. And this is really important because you have to think of every project manager as the CEO of their own little company. They're they're a business manager. And in order to be responsible and accountable, they need to have accounting information about their project. That doesn't mean they get to know the accounting for the whole firm. They don't need to know people's salaries or hourly bill rates if you don't want them to know that, or what's the P&L for the company, but they should know the profit loss of their project. Okay? And so the products in white will allow you to see instantaneously and in real time what's the profit and loss for the schematic design phase, the design development phase, the CD phase, all the phases, how are they performing, and correct these things. So project accounting is the word that you should always be using. Don't listen to your accountant. They say, get QuickBooks. That does not understand your unique needs. It's the same software product used by, a shoe store. Reference and specs. I just threw a bunch of stuff in here that I found in use in people's offices. I personally don't use much of these any longer other than Pinterest. I'm kind of like a Pinterest aficionado. But there's products out there. They're pure cloud, really great. CA, if anybody's looking for a business opportunity, if anybody's worried about the future, I will tell you that this is an area that there's good opportunity. Procore's fabulous. They're just down the road in Santa Barbara, but great on the CA side. ArchiSnapper, great with field reports, but there's great opportunity to be more cloud-based during the construction side of things, but I've seen these things in use. Okay, Corrine, poll number 2, which is your firm currently using any cloud services to help with critical business functions? So you can let us know, yes, no, or maybe you're unsure.
Really great participation rate today, and participation rate of people who signed up and are here today. So thank you everyone who's here and participating.
I'm just wondering if Rosa is on the phone with someone else or if she's listening. No? Okay, you're listening to us through your phone? Okay. I've been watching you on the phone going, who is she talking to?
Okay, so we're about at 86% voted. So I'm going to end the poll.
Okay.
And share the results.
Wow, okay, so 14% of you have nothing in the cloud, nothing going on in the cloud right now. 76, that's good. Okay, cool, thank you for that. How am I on time? Okay, good. I gotta fix this slide one of these days. I hate that image, but the concept of chunkification or disconnected apps is what we're looking at on this slide here. And this really happened back in 2007 with the introduction of the iPhone, and apps grew. And people have found these great little apps. So here's an app for me to do this and that and that and that. So I got, today, somebody's got an app for time tracking and a project management app, an accounting app, a scheduling app. They got all these various apps, but they don't have digital plumbing between them. This is horrible, okay? We saw this early on in 2011. We made the decision that we were not going to build little apps for people and like what I call one-trick ponies. They do something very simple. They do it very elegantly, but that's it. And the promise of them connecting with other things never manifests itself. And not only that, but when you move up from the freemium version of some of these apps to get the more enhanced features, you end up spending some money, like every month, $10, $20, whatever, 50. At the end, these kind of add up. If you took a look at all those little things you have. And so, we want you to get integrated. So this is what I'm going to tell you is when you're looking for solutions in the cloud, make sure they're integrated solutions that can communicate with other solutions and have the APIs. So I talked about native cloud. Also make sure anybody you're looking at has an API, has open or public APIs, meaning you don't have to pay them to make sure that you can do something else with your software, like send it, like feed I have a large format printer, or we have printers in our office, and, plotters and stuff, and I want some software, the sepia line or whatever you're using to track your prints feeds into my software. You don't have to hire some expensive programmer to make that happen. The APIs will give you that ability to connect these things. So cloud native and APIs. So integration is where we're going, no longer chunkification. I don't think we're going to kill off chunkification. People will always make these wonderful little apps. I like that because it puts pressure again on developers of us who are trying to be integrated to make our products better. So kudos to them. But think twice about the benefit of that particular one-trick pony. Okay, there's another thing to make sure is we use a mobile-first strategy here at BQE Software, which means if this can't be done on this device, we're not going to build it, okay? And on top of that, there are things that mobile devices can give you that software sitting on your desktop computer can't do because, our mobile app uses the gyroscope, the accelerometer, the motion sensor, the camera, the GPS, and the compass, right? It uses all of those things. But if you have a lift and shift cloud, or you have a mobile app that's not a native mobile app, but it's a browser app on your phone. So they tell you like save it as a jewel on your computer, and it basically is launching a browser environment in the background. That can't take advantage of the instruments that are on a mobile phone. So that's a critical thing. Is mobility is absolutely essential. It's part of the cloud. It's why the cloud was built, and the software that you're using to run your business should have native mobile apps for you. Artificial intelligence is actually, there's nothing really just AI. AI is actually 5 separate things. So let me just kind of define them for you. Machine learning, that's kind of like scary, where we don't have to write machine code in order to change the results that the computer is going to be able to provide us. So smart machines are now teaching themselves. They're learning from you, the user. And we do this in our BQE core solution. You have different ways you want things to behave. The system will learn from that and get better and get stronger, which is part of the scarier side of AI. But a lot of that's just science fiction. Voice recognition. This used to be funny in the early days with Siri, where it just made horrible mistakes and all, but that has gotten very, very strong. And I'm going to do a demonstration of that in a few minutes. Natural language processing, which we'll also see an example of where I start talking, but the computer is hearing my voice, but it doesn't really make sense, but it's able to make sense out of it, okay? Machine reasoning is the ability that stuff to the AI to actually do deduction and induction, things that normally require human beings to do that. Phenomenal deep neural networks. We see this at work in products like Waze. A lot of you used to use that when you got into a car and you went somewhere. We've seen it on use IBM Watson, where 10 years ago, they put Ken Jennings and Brad Rutter on Jeopardy and playing against Watson, and they were just decimated. But that's the ability of a deep neural network to return instantly enough information that actually gives a result that otherwise would require a human being's intelligence to do that. And all these things are actually in place today in businesses. I have a list here of industries coming up on the right half of the screen that are being impacted. There was an article either last week or over the weekend, I think from the Harvard Business Review on radiology. Radiologists are in deep trouble right now because the deep neural networks are able to make sense of, scans instantaneously from a database that's global and is constantly being fixed and improved because the diagnoses are being, updated and corrected. So there's no way radiologists can compare with this. So AI is at work. It's in work in engineering and architecture through codes right now. Building codes in certain districts, certain cities around the country are using AI for delivering building codes. Okay, strategies for implementation. I touched on it earlier, is software. Now, it should be software driven, which is things like Excel. I've been into every single firm uses Excel. And it's not a problem to use a spreadsheet. But to run your business, you don't use spreadsheets, okay? Running your business is repetitive work, weekly, monthly, quarterly, however often you do things, and spreadsheets are prone to human error. They aren't real time. You have to actually, and if, you're just never going to get away from these. I've been at the spreadsheet nightmare. I've been in a firm that had an office manager who put together a spreadsheet with like 70 worksheets at the bottom of it. And she was very proud of what she had built, but there's no way anybody could take that thing over. It's not what you want. So you're looking for software that will drive your business, not software that you will use to drive your business. Mobile first, I probably should have made that number one. It is in my opinion, the single most important thing. Again, a few years ago, mobility was very low on people's interest levels for business. They thought it was just a kind of a cute thing. Today, it is absolutely essential. Fully integrated, I went at length on that one. Get away from the chunkification, make sure they're integrated. And if they're not like inherently integrated, make sure they support push and pull. This thing of exporting and importing data should be over. No one should be doing this any longer. Those APIs allow you to connect these things and feed and take off data from anything else and do that without you having to export and import. Those slides I had where I separated the white from the gray, built for your industry. If you're sitting, in your dentist chair, hopefully in a month from now when we can do that again, but not that I ever look forward to it, and they're telling you about this great scheduling software they use for their patients, don't think that that's a software product that you should use in your architectural firm to help you with scheduling. It is not built for your industry. So please do the research, make sure it makes sense, and that there are other architects using it and recommending it for you. I didn't talk much about BI, talked about AI a little bit, but business intelligence, you don't get that when you're using spreadsheets. That's all your intelligence entirely, but having the software give you the BI for which you can make a decision. And I think it was Russell Crowe, was it A Brilliant Mind, where there's this one scene where he's looking at all of this text on the screen and he's able to pull out, the actual code, what's making that message for him out of that. That's the problem with spreadsheets. It's just a lot of data, but you have to scan through it. Business intelligence gets rid of the clutter and just gives you actionable information. And I want you to know that, yes, a client is not paying you literally to move your company into the cloud, but disruption like this sort requires a full-time manager, someone accountable to carry the ball down the field and deliver on it in the same way you would expect you to deliver on a client's project. If you don't assign someone in your company, your firm, to make yourself get there, I guarantee you will not get there successfully. You will not get there quickly. It will be a long, painful road. So make sure there's someone in the company to do that. Corrine, we've got another poll question here. how important is your mobile device? So a mobile phone or a tablet within your business. So it's like essential, you can't work without it. It's important, it makes your job easier, but you don't need it. It's not important at all. Could be nice, but you don't need it at all. And your mobile is completely useless. There's no reason we should be talking about it. So Corinne, keep your eye on the meter there.
So we're about at 82%.
How am I doing on time?
Looks like we're stalling, so I'll end the poll
Okay.
at 84%. There you go.
Okay, so half of it's important, half it's, wow, 45% say it's essential. Oh, I hope when we get to Q&A, people will share with us or chat with us, what is that, what are they using? I'd love to know more about that. And 6% not important. Great, thank you for sharing that. Okay. So what I wanted to do is indulge me for just a couple minutes here. I'm going to take you into what it actually means when you take all these ideas that I just shared with you, which is what we do here, and you put it into a single sort of solution here. So I won't go deep into this. I just want you to understand the concept is dashboards, which we're probably all familiar with. What we like to think about is an individual can have different dashboards, right? Like your car has a single dashboard, but if you're in a 787, Dreamliner, they have constantly changing dashboards for the pilot, depending on if they're taking off or they're landing or they're cruising. And so that's what we allow you to do is you can just change the data, the metrics that are put in front of you, and put other widgets on the screen. And in the bottom left there, I have a project status widget that's giving me a warning. It's not making decisions for me here. It's just warning me. I can drill into that and find stuff out. Maybe I have a personal dashboard and I can see documents that are related to my projects. What am I allocated to work on this week and how much have I done of that? What are my own to-dos like? My company owes me some money. It's at the bottom under the reimbursables, and how am I paid time off? So the data is in the database and it's coming to you in real time. Maybe I manage a group of people in a studio and I could look at the notes that they've been adding to my project records and their own to-do list. And how are they performing for my company? What's their on the upper right? You can see how are they being utilized this week, this month, this quarter, this year, whatever you want to set at. So I don't have to run reports. I don't have to actually gather data, wait for my employees to hand in something. All the systems are integrated and feeding one another. If I go into an employee record, let's go down and look at Sally over here. And I look at her performance. This is how Sally performed for me over her entire history, but maybe I'm interested in seeing how did she perform for me last year? And then everything instantly, real time, calculates. It gets to tell me, what has been her, what's her ideal pay rate? This is information I have permission to see, telling me that if I paid her, in this case, $30 an hour, I make my 20% profit margin. So the systems are built in to figure that out. Or going into a project. And Pasadena Elementary School. Not a real project for me, just want you to see how has that project performed? What's the value of the work in progress? Does my client have a retainer on? On the upper right, it says cost, $193,000, a real-time ticker. As every hour somebody works on the project or anytime a consultant sends me an invoice for structural engineering services, that's costing my company money. That's all real-time feeding into the system, and my profit margin at 22% right over there. So good data that's coming to me in real time. I don't have to waste my time gathering it. It's available on my mobile phone. It's available anywhere I am. And I just wanted to talk about mobile. I'm not going to take you into it. I just want you to know a mobile first philosophy means the experience of being on that mobile phone should be no different than being at your desktop. So all the data is available, all the interactions, but they're enhanced interactions because on my mobile phone knows this morning that I drove from my house to my office, and yes, I am in my office today, and it knows how many miles it was. It knows that the geocode for my office is the same, I've linked it up with one of my projects so that I can do this in demonstrations. And so it knows that that is a mileage charge that could be billed onto that client because it knows my travel is being charged on that project. So, and it knows how long I'm going to be in my office, and then it'll be able to add that to my time card. That's because I have a native app on my phone that is tracking that through the instruments. And this is perfect timing. Okay, I'm going to take you through a artificial intelligence little video. And I gave this at a Architects Newspaper Tech LA conference in February, I think it was. So slightly dated because this is your ability to have a conversation with your business software. Our belief is you shouldn't be sitting in front of your computer in the future or in the near future to get stuff done, to get information. And so since this video is made, we now have the ability to create your time cards through your voice and some other really cool things and add expenses through your voice. So let me just play this. I'll pause it every little bit. And what I'm done is I'm launching the Google Assistant. So we're about to release a version for Amazon Alexa. Siri is still a problem because Apple holds the Siri APIs privately. Okay, Google, ask Core Intelligence, how is my business doing this year? Kareem, we hearing that okay?
Yes.
This year, your net profit is 17%, which amounts to $30,293.
Oh, by the way, this is an early version of it. It's being improved so that we don't give you so much information, and we're cleaning up our graphics, but I just want you to see that this is a real-time video. I have no splicing and dicing of this video. It's all real time.
You have $173,369 of income and $143,075 of expenses.
By the way, at the bottom there, notice there's these little little buttons like last month, last year, last quarter. So I can physically interact with my mobile phone to say, how is my net profit, which was my question, or how's my business doing, last month or last year or last quarter, whatever I have.
What else can I help you with?
How did my business do last year?
Last year, your net profit was 15%, which amounts to $264,202.
Oh, by the way, this is a fictitious company. It's not a real company, so don't think I'm loaded with cash.
You had $1,722,020 of income and $1,457,818 of expenses. Is there anything else?
How much do our clients owe us?
Your accounts.
Okay, so take a look at the text. I said, how much do our clients owe us? And the voice recognition got OS, like operating system. But still, the natural language processing is able to take the context and know that it means owe us.
Receivable as $294,562. Anything else?
Do I have enough money in the bank to pay my bills? Okay, before I give you the answer to that, what this system is doing instantly is it looks into my checking account, whatever, my savings account, and to figure out, and then compare that against the accounts payable, right? Which I haven't asked it yet. Right now it says my accounts receivables. My clients owe me $294,000, but it's looking at what do I owe other people? When is the due date for that? Okay, and the ability for you to actually have the systems look at what is the average aging for all of your clients, because they may not always pay their bills on time, when you could expect to get that money in, is also there for you. So this is, let me give the answer.
Yes, your account balance is $728,281.
Not true.
What else can I help you with?
Update me on the Pasadena Elementary School.
The project is doing very well with a profit percentage of 22%. Pasadena owes us $12,789 with $15,249 of work in progress. Do you want to know more about Pasadena?
Sure.
The utilization rate for Pasadena is 98% with a total of 1807 invested hours. What else can I help you with?
What's the work in hand?
The project is at 44% earned value. At $474,000 contracted and $207,048 earned, there is a remaining of $266,950.
So just so you know, we're changing this. So the question was, what's the work in hand? The actual answer should have been $266,952, or maybe $267,000. Would you like to know more? And then it would give me the extra detail.
$52.
So this is being improved.
What else can I help you with?
What's the profitability of the Aspen Cultural Center?
The profitability is 21%, which is approximately $92,544. Do you want to know more about the profitability information?
Are the bills getting paid?
79.
So by the way, it knows I'm talking about the Aspen Cultural Center. So when I ask about are the bills getting paid, it's very different than earlier on when I was asking about, what's the accounts receivable, or, what's the accounts payable. This is specific to this. It keeps me in context.
% of billings have been paid. A total of $448,004 has been billed, $353,214 of which has already been paid, leaving a balance of $94,790. Any other questions?
By the way, before I move on, we're not there yet, but we're about to release a question, which would be, what's on my calendar today? And it will say you have a 9:30 meeting with Bob Jones from the Aspen Cultural Center. And then it would go, provided I have permission to know this, it will say, remind him that he owes you $94,790 and is 31 days late, that kind of a thing. Who are my top 3 clients?
Here are your top 3 clients. Aspen Chamber of Commerce is ranked number 3 with 21% profit. Pasadena School District is ranked number 2 with 22% profit. Whitespace is ranked number 1 among 14 clients with 23% profit.
Of course, you could say, who are my top 3 clients this year, last quarter?
What else can I help you with?
Who were my top 3 employees last year? Okay, now we're looking at employee records.
Here are your 3 top employees and their effective bill rates. Last year, Jan DeMarco is ranked number 3 with an effective bill rate of $171 per hour.
By the way, an effective bill rate, a lot of you think about utilization rates. Oh, my employees are 90% utilized, or whatever that is. Nice metric, not really that important. What's really important is an effective bill rate, which means, in this case, Jan DeMarco, every hour she touches a project, it brought in $171 of revenue to the company. Okay, maybe she billed out at $150 an hour, but some of the time she's working is on fixed fee services or fixed fee projects or whatever. Every hour she touched, even though you couldn't bill for some of that time that she worked on those projects, brought in $171 an hour. It's a fantastic metric.
Stephen Burns is ranked number 2 with an effective bill rate of $173 per hour. Richard Cohen is ranked number 1 among 10 employees with an effective bill rate of $177 per hour. What else can I help you with?
Update me on Jan. So it knows, there could be 2 Jans, but it knows that's Jan DeMarco.
18%, which amounts to $90,114. Jan is ranked number 2 with an effective bill rate of $172 and a utilization rate of 86%. Do you want to know more about Jan?
No, but what was her ideal pay rate last year?
Last year, the ideal pay rate for Jan would have been $52 per hour.
Imagine if you knew how much to pay everybody in your company, okay? Doesn't matter if you're a 3-person firm or 300-person firm. The system knows their utilization and realization rates. It knows their base salary and the multiple of direct salary expense. And it knows your company's profit expectations. I want a 20% profit. Knowing what Jan did for me last year, it says if I paid her $52 an hour, that's her base salary, a little $110,000 salary, I would make my 20% profit margin.
Anything else?
How much work does Sally have next week?
There are 38 hours assigned to Sally.
If I had 2 Sallys in my company, it would ask, do you mean Sally Jones or Sally Smith?
What else can I help you with?
What's on my to-do list for today?
You have one thing on your to-do list for today's date. Complete the presentation for Tech Plus LA panel on Digital Toolbox. Is there anything?
I'm going to actually stop it here. It's still like 45 seconds, but Will and Corinne, I know that I'm going to move forward on that one. I'm just going to skip this one. I just talked about that. We should just get to, because we're closing to on the top of the hour, and I apologize. So I'm gonna forget all those slides. So let's go to Q&A maybe, yeah? And
yeah, we have a few questions here. There's one in the chat. If anybody, Daria, do you want to address the group with your question, or I can say it out loud?
Hi. Yes, I was wondering, we were just talking in the office about possibly moving the data and the processing power onto the cloud. But obviously, we have some softwares like BIM 360 that allow us to move Revit files on the cloud. We have Bluebeam Studio, the Office 365 apps. But what about some software that we use that don't have a desktop, that don't have a cloud equivalent, that only have a desktop app version? So in a doomsday scenario, how would we be able to productively continue our workflow?
well, do you have an example of what you might be referring to, Daria, about no option? What kind of a application are you talking about?
Well, I'm thinking like the Adobe Creative Suite.
Well, they have a cloud, but they have a cloud version for Adobe Creative Suite, and they have collaborative tools as well. I mean, I think Adobe is a leader in cloud technologies, so you don't need to lose, drop that platform just because you want to move into the cloud. Yeah, I'm not sure there's any real technology out there that can't be put up in the cloud, like Deltek does lift and shift cloud. I mean, it's old technology, but you can put it up in the cloud. You can on yourself take things and put it into a cloud. You can go to like Rackspace and take any of your server applications and put them on a hosted cloud. Managed hosting services is what it's referred to, so that your people who are working remotely now can get access to those, which they couldn't before without like a VPN, and the VPN wasn't always maybe the best solution there.
Yeah, so we're trying to understand if that's what we need to do, or if we have capability to keep working the way we're working and just be able to access all the software on the cloud.
Yeah, well, I would say
laptop interface, for example.
Okay. Well, again, just since it's Adobe products you're talking about, go back to Adobe and look at their cloud solutions for you right now. And other ones, you can look into managed hosting services, which means you're not really going to disrupt your company too much because everybody's already familiar with what you're giving, what they need to do their job. But at least it's at managed hosting services in a cloud. So that's the short way to do it. I think if you're looking for the future, if you're looking like what are we going to go into in the next decade, and you're ready to make a migration, that's where you should go look at some of the products and others as well that come out, it seems, every week. Thank you.
So if it's a simple question from Monica, and Monica, you can unmute yourself if you want to elaborate. How do you actually get the BQE software? It's not in the Apple App Store, or?
Yeah, you can go to Apple or Android.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, you can go there. It's free. You just get the download the app.
Is it by core, like by BQE?
Yeah, BQE Core. You have to put in BQE Core.
Okay.
I just downloaded and signed in. So I think it's what you were showing in the series.
Well, I wasn't doing that with Siri. I was using artificial intelligence through Google Assistant. But you can also just go on a browser on your computer and just go to bqe.com, and you can get a free trial of Core and play with that on your own.
Oh, we're already in BQE, so I just signed in and saw what you were seeing. So yes.
Okay, sure thing.
Okay, we have a lot of questions here. I think we'll go on. Steve, you okay with like maybe 5 more minutes, just so we can address a few of these questions, and then we'll wrap it up just to everyone's time. Yep. Okay. Judy, do you want to say your question, or I'll read it for you?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
First of all, that was absolutely fascinating and exciting. And one thing that's always been elusive for us is how to allocate overhead to understanding profitability overall and on a per project basis? How is that part of the process of working with CORE?
Hey, well, I'd say, by the way, I noticed Doug Teeger is here. He's muted. You should talk to Doug, by the way, who does a fabulous job with firms who use CORE in the LA area. But every single thing that you do in your firm, in my estimation, needs to be tracked. Every little piece of data. The more data you give the system, the better your information is. How you set things up, it doesn't matter if it's in CORE or it's any other solution that you have out there. You really have to think about what answers you want to get back. And there are companies that create, not overhead per se, but they may call it marketing. They might actually have marketing at a project level. So before you get to your normal phases like the schematic design and all the rest, they might have a marketing phase, or you might call it an overhead phase, where anything that's not literally going to be compared against a contract can be at least tracked separately so your reports can pull that out. We're releasing a CRM module. It's going out in beta either this Saturday or a month from this Saturday, but we have a big update on the Saturday in the cloud. But that will allow you to take all of those activities that are definitely marketing related, whether they're for projects specifically or opportunities, or RFP, RFQ tracking, and follow it through all the way to the end. Because if you get awarded a project, you want to be able to know how much is our total investment in the project, not just getting us through the phases of the project, but the other stuff. So I think what would happen for us typically is when a firm moves into our product, they'll work with people like Doug Teeger, or they'll use our trainers here at BQE Software to learn about how their firm operates, what they want out of it. And then they help them, hold their hand, help them set things up so that the projects are all, template projects are built in the way, because we do project accounting, and the way the money flows, because you can have money move into any of your accounts in the chart of accounts. There are firms that like to have all the revenue done by people in the, the interior design department flow into an income account that's related to fees related to interior design. That's not necessary to do that because we allow classes as well to do that. So the answer, really short answer is this is easily managed, but when you get into a system, you just have to work with whoever helping you implement it to make sure you're set up, because it's like a foundation of building. You spend a lot of time building that foundation, and it takes a long time to do that. And then finally, once that's done, you get a building on top of it that moves at a rapid pace. So invest in the fundamentals and the foundation. So
great.
Okay, Judy.
Thank you for that. So we have a question from Eva. Eva, do you want to address it? It's about overtaxed internet infrastructure.
Sure. I just know that in this whole moving of everybody to working from home, we've seen a huge issue with the speed of the internet. And I'm just curious, in your research or visioning about what's in the future, if you see that improving, if we have more and more people working in different ways and using the internet, do you see that infrastructure being improved?
Well, sure. I mean, the current problem is I don't think the internet service providers were well equipped for residential districts having the load on them that they currently have today. And yes, they're scrambling 24/7 right now to beef up their infrastructures. So technology will always move forward. There's a difference. There's upload speeds and download speeds, and your neighbor could have a very different service than you yourself have. I know it. I mean, I'm here today because where my home is in View Park, the upload speeds in my Spectrum account are pitiful, and I'm very nervous when I'm delivering a presentation that they're going to guarantee me the 20 megabit per second upload that I'm supposed to get, and I've been watching it at 5 and 4 because it's always been fine, but this past month it's been terrible. So they're going to have to fix that. But it doesn't really, for me, it doesn't really impact much from cloud software because all the chugging away is being done in the cloud on, as I mentioned, servers that are, dynamically, dealing with the loads on them. And all that you get is tiny little files, just screen refresh files. So there's no real stress on your computer. It's all the pipe that's coming to you. And those things download typically, they're very small packets. I think when it comes to big things like giant file uploads, that you're seeing those problems. But short answer, I guess, is the internet service providers are working their butts off right now to improve our residential accounts. And you'll probably actually end up seeing it in a bill. In other words, if you want it, you got to pay for it. Otherwise, they're going to keep serving you the way they've been serving you. But if you want to stay at home and have better speed, pay an extra bit of money.
Thanks.
Sure.
So we do have a lot of questions here. Trying to see. From Jason Lee, if you want to come on, what app do you recommend to interactive presentation to clients? I chose that one because I kind of want to know as well.
So right now I'm just using Zoom to show my screen, but client can't really move my drawing or mark on the drawing freely. So I was wondering if there's any kind of app that has an interactive presentation.
I would look at a product called Miro. It wasn't on my list, but M-I-R, like the artist.
How do you spell that?
Like the artist, M-I-R.
Oh, okay.
Miro, which is a collaborative whiteboarding tool. That would allow you to actually have you and your clients all together sharing that thing and collaborating there in real time, on screen. So that's the only one I know of that kind of allows that interaction. But if anybody else has one, shout it out.
And I think just to wrap it up, I'm gonna just take one more question here. How do you move, and Colin, if you want to elaborate, please unmute yourself. How do you move our business to the cloud? What is the logical steps that we should take? Kind of going back to the basics.
Yeah.
Nothing really here, just it's pretty obvious the question is, yeah.
Well, I had these bullet points about the things you should look at. So I don't want to tell you which solutions to use. All the solutions I showed you, generally speaking, were really all cloud solutions. But the most important solution is someone, Colin, you or whoever in the company has to drive that as a project, and they have to be given the time to do it and not say, do it on your free time. If you say do it on your free time, because you're running around taking care of projects, it's just not going to happen in a serious way. There are, I know that when we have companies who come to us, we assign them we call it an implementation kit. Who will take care of getting all of their data from them and migrating it into our cloud, and massaging the data, cleaning it up, putting it in the cloud, and then having you review it, and then training you and doing all that stuff. It's a major load, major lift for all of you. Doug Teeter, again, here in LA, has great experience at running firms and is an expert in core. He's not an employee of ours at all. He's just independent, but I see his face over there on the screen. People like Doug are great because they go right into your office and work with you and really hold your hand in a very unique way that our trainers don't do, because we do training virtually. So again, I think assigning someone to do the job for you in your office, being responsible and accountable for it, and then making sure you budget enough money and time to get this implemented by a certain date, in the same way your client is expecting you to deliver the project on a certain date.
So what are the major aspects of transferring a company to the cloud? You've got the cloud-based storage, you have the cloud-based applications. We're already using BQ Core for accounting and financials. Would that be it, basically, those three?
Well, no, I mean, as someone else mentioned, you've got a whole bunch of other things that you use, like the Adobe Cloud, right? Or other things that are not specifically in the management and accounting side of your business, but in the production. Someone asked about, collaborative tools. There's a whole bunch of things that go. And like, Zoom today, this is not, this is a completely independent thing that, it's like a one-trick pony, right? It's a brilliant technology. It is cloud-based, but it doesn't integrate with core. But if you wanted it to, right, like be able to launch a Zoom meeting with a client directly, and those kinds of things can happen because there are APIs. It's a huge topic. I would say if you're you're already apparently working with our company, so just talk to our account rep here if there's other things that you want integrated that are in the cloud, and we'll be happy to look at what else we can do to help you out with that.